This is the jumping pens experiment, and guess what? You need a pen. So we need a pen which has a pen cap or pen lid with it, okay? Because we need to use both for this particular experiment. Really easy setup for this. So again, I'm going to explain what I want you to do. You're going to go and do it, and then we'll discover what we each found out. What I want you to do is take the lid off the pen. Doesn't matter what hand you use for this. Take the lid off the pen. I'm holding the pen this time in my left hand, okay? I want you to line it up this way, vertically, and line it up using one eye only. I'm going to close my left eye, and just with my right eye open, left eye closed, I'm going to look with my right eye only and line the pen up with some line in the distance that's going that way as well in the room. Now, of course, you're at home, you could line it up with the corner of the room, a door frame, a corner. Right now, I'm looking into the corner of the studio we're in, okay? So remember, left eye closed, I'm lining it up with an edge I can see over there. You do the same. What you've got to do is take that lid, still only have one eye open, and replace the lid on the pen, okay? So replace the lid on the pen, right? Once you've done that, take it off again. This time, stay in position, but this time I want you to close your right eye, open your left eye, and do the same thing. Okay, so close the right eye, left eye open, look over, so right eye's closed now, and do the same thing, and notice what you notice. Now, I wonder how you got on with this one. It can vary a bit between different people, and I will talk about that in a minute, but let's show you what I got. So I'm going to hold it there, okay? Remember, left eye's closed, first one. Here's the lid. Let's see if I can put it back on. Oh, missed. Oh, 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 oh dear, oh dear. There, got it. Actually, I did cheat a bit then. I used my finger to help me. I hope you didn't do that. So put the lid on, okay? First one. Now I'm going to remove it. Remember the next one, you've got to close your right eye and use your left eye this time. So right eye closed, left eye. Oh, that's weird. Do you know what? At the moment, I can still see it lining up with that edge, but as soon as I close that eye and open that eye, it jumps, it goes that way across. I'm sure you must have noticed this. So it's lining up with a particular edge in the distance for me, with that eye open. When I close that eye and open my other eye, the pen seems to have jumped across. Oh well. Let's see, I'll leave it where it is. Oh dear, dear, dear. Oh, got it that time. Okay. So I did find it a bit hard on both occasions to put the lid on, didn't I? What's going on? What's going on? How come? Two things really. How come I found it quite tricky to get that lid on? And also, how come it seemed to jump in the way I described? I hope you noticed that too, if you did it exactly in the way I asked you to. Right, let's look at why I found it quite hard to put the lid on first. Why do we have two eyes? Here's a question. Why do you have two eyes? Well, the reason you have two eyes is so you can judge distance, particularly for things that are quite close to you, up to a metre or two. We can judge distances very accurately with two eyes. And the reason for that is that each eye sends a very slightly different picture to your brain. And your brain sort of combines them and overlaps them. And from the slightly different angle, if I'm looking at you right now, the slightly different picture I'm getting from this eye compared to this eye, very slightly different. My brain combines them and can tell distances quite well from that. So the camera I'm looking into right now is quite a long way away, but this is quite close. Now with two eyes, I'm not bad at judging distance. I can normally get the lid on pretty easily with two eyes. But with one eye, I've now lost a whole load of information. A whole picture's been shut off. So when I now try and place the lid on with one eye only, I'll do this now straight in that direction. Got it a second time that time. I was finding it harder to judge distance with just one set of information coming in just one eye. And that's one of the main reasons I missed it. What about, how come when I was holding it up there, with that eye, it was lining up beautifully with one of the edges in the room. Let's take the lid off again. But when I closed that eye, I hadn't even moved this arm. I closed that eye, and now I've got my other eye open. And yet it looks to me like it's jumped across. I know it doesn't to you, it hasn't even moved. But to me, it looks like that's jumped from there, that way, sort of about that far, across. Of course, it hasn't really moved at all. That's because I'm getting two different views, remember. So when I get two different views, this eye is looking at the pen from this direction, this eye is looking at it from slightly different directions. So the background will look different from this eye compared to this eye. And if I exaggerate, I'm over here for this eye, look, I exaggerate the distance, the background's over there for that eye. So that's why the picture changed behind it. And actually that made it even harder for me to put the lid on because my brain thought, oh, the whole thing's moved. And I found it even harder to put on the second time. Okay, I wonder how you got on with it. Variables. What other things could we change? Well, I held it pretty much at arm's length, didn't I? I wonder what difference we'd have if we held it, say, much closer and did a similar thing. So say from here and did that, tried to get it on, closed one eye, did it with the other eye, tried to get on. I wonder what difference that would make. I wonder actually if you could somehow stick it in a bit of plasticine or something and step right back so it was lined up. Although of course you can't reach it now. I'm asking you to look what happens to how it changes. You can't reach it if it's a long way off. But one eye and then change it. I wonder what difference you'll see in the jump behind it if you did something like that. I think there's probably a few other things, but I'll leave you to figure out what you could do.